Already embroiled in turmoil, Kyrgyzstan hopes to become the first democracy in Central Asia after a crucial referendum on a new constitution. But what are the dangers ahead? And what about concerns voiced by some of its neighbors? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Hoda Abdelhamid. Kyrgyzstan is on its way to adopting a new constitution. The referendum, backed by an overwhelming 90% of voters, could pave the way towards peace and stability in the country. A bloody uprising in April resulting in ousting former President Bakiyev. An interim government took over the reins of power as ethnic violence erupted between Kyrgyz and the minority Uzbek. Some say clashes have left up to 2,000 people dead, and according to the UN, some 400,000 refugees. Robin Forrester Walker has this report on the referendum, pegged as a positive step forward for Kyrgyzstan.
It's been a long time coming for this unelected government. Now, finally, the interim president of Kyrgyzstan has some good news to tell the world, with a yes vote approving her right to rule.
We consider the referendum a success. The new constitution of the Kyrgyz Republic has been approved despite a strong resistance by its opponents. More than half the citizens of the country came to vote in the referendum. And by doing this, the people put to an end the authoritarian family-run rule of the two previous presidents.
This referendum required the Kyrgyz people to choose whether or not to support the government's political reforms. But in Osh, the epicenter of the recent interethnic bloodletting, claims of weak leadership damaged confidence in the interim government.
Here in Kyrgyzstan we always have a revolution. A president is always under pressure. People don't want to see him as a leader. Nobody listens to each other. So we don't expect anything good in our country, and the new constitution won't help.
With so many ethnic Uzbeks caught up in the recent conflict, the Kyrgyz Central Election Commission sought to make it easier for everyone to cast their ballot. In this Uzbek neighborhood in Osh, government officials brought ballot boxes to voters, too afraid to venture out to polling stations.
We want peace and calm. That's the most important thing, that everything should be calm. We've been running here, running there, people shooting.
The Kyrgyz Central Election Commission reported a high turnout. Given the insecurity, privately, some observers have questioned the figures. But international monitors have been observing closely. The OSCE will report their preliminary findings on Monday.
If these results are accurate, then this could be a very positive outcome for the Kyrgyz government, because if the electorate are prepared to engage in a democratic process, they're willing to give this new leadership a chance. Robin Forrester Walker, Al Jazeera, Bishkek.
Well, joining me today to discuss the topic, in Bishkek, Mirsuljan Namazaliev from the Central Asian Free Market Institute. In London, Najam Abbas, Senior Fellow on Central and South Asia at the East-West Institute. And in Moscow, Dmitry Babich, political analyst and columnist at Russia Profile. Welcome to the program, gentlemen. Mirsuljan Namazaliev, let me start with you. Some observers do say that actually people did go out and vote in big numbers, but they didn't really know what they were voting for.
I think there were different expectations. But what I really liked during the referendum day is the people who were never voting, mostly internet geeks and others who were then posting. This time they went out and they voted, and they were saying, I went there with my whole family. And the expectations and the, arguments to vote were, of course, different. But there was something uniting. That was, of course, about stability through legal government. There were some people who really voted for the constitution as they read that, as the new constitution really shifts down the president's power. And there were some more people who said, okay, we don't support this constitution, we do not believe to the interim government so much, but we don't have any other chance. any other options. So we need to support this government and to support them in advance. So this in advance support, I think, was also one of the leading arguments to vote for the referendum.
Well, Najam Abbas, is this vote coming, or this constitution, let's say, coming at the right time?
Yes, please. The choice was to continue as a hostage of a deadlock, head towards a dead end, or make a departure to something which has not been tried in the past, but can still be a light at the end of a very turbulent and deadly tunnel. So that is why all the stakes were put in turning a new page, making a new start, as if rewriting history, so that the Kyrgyz people can opt whether they would have concentration of powers in individual hands, or they are prepared and ready to make a transfer of power to institutions. Perhaps the right time has come.
Well, Dmitry Babic, yet the Russian president is not very happy with this vote. He actually said that maybe this new constitution could bring to more turmoil in the country.
Well, I wouldn't say that he is not happy. He is just concerned whether this system will work. And as our colleague in Bishkek has said, what Kyrgyzstan needs right now is not a Western-style democracy. It cannot be established in a matter of days. What Kyrgyzstan needs is law and order, peace and stability. And our president, Dmitry Medvedev, he's just not sure that it will be possible to guarantee this law and order, peace and stability by means of parliamentary democracy. Parliamentary democracy never worked in any ex-Soviet republic except the Baltic states. So in that sense, I wish all kinds of success to the new Kyrgyz government, but they are really embarking on an untrodden path. No one tried to do it before in this area.
Well, let's go at least through the details of this referendum. It would make Kyrgyzstan the first parliamentary republic in Central Asia by reducing the powers of the president and giving more to the prime minister and parliament. It also legitimizes the country's interim government and allows Rosa Otunbayeva to remain in power until the end of 2011, when presidential election will be held. And finally, it abolishes the country's constitutional court by transferring its power to the Supreme Court. So let's go back to Bishkek. Mirsuljan Namazaliev, how do people there feel about Russia's position?
There are different opinions, but mostly from young professionals and actual professionals whom I talk every day. They were very angry to the appeal of Mr. Medvedev. They said our country is not going to collapse. The second is parliamentarian democracy, where the power is decentralized and gives more power to local people and as well as to parliament. It will bring more peace because people would have chances to promote their ideas, their interests easily than it was before, when one family was ruling and we had two times the same situation when one president had occupied all the power. And the last thing, people here believe that Medvedev's concern is related to one thing, that actually President Medvedev would consider and prefer any dictator here in Bishkek, because it would be very easy for him to communicate and to dictate his interests in this region. But while parliamentary system makes the work of Mr. Medvedev and its secret services much more, complicated, because they would think who is going to win, whom to support, and some other issues that is raising out from the parliamentary system of governance. So I also believe that Russian government's concern about parliamentary system was exactly the same, because they always wanted one person to communicate, one person to promote their interests. And now Kyrgyzstan is the first country, except Baltics, where we are accepting not presidential system, and all other countries, as we know, except Baltics and some countries from Caucasus, are authoritarian. We want democracy.
Well, that said, it's not that Russia managed actually to have a complete hold on President Bakiev. Najam Abbas, do you think that this new government, interim government, that is giving so much hope, at least according to what Mr. Namazaliev is saying, to the Kyrgyz people, is actually going to be strong enough to go ahead to enter this very sensitive period? It's not a very cohesive or coherent government, is it?
No, it is not. But how it will unfold is, first they wanted to establish the legitimacy. Then they will address a lack of law and order. Thirdly, they will try to restore power, especially in the provinces, particularly in the south. But the problems, disruptions and killings that we have seen in south of Kyrgyzstan, particularly in Osh and Jalalabad city, bordering with Uzbekistan, is not the cause of the problems, it is effect of the problem. The causes are underlying for decades because of demography, because of distribution disorders, because of absence of forum for recourse to justice, recourse to right distribution of resources. So all this has been keeping the south of Kyrgyzstan as a melting pot. So the options was either to continue keeping betting on clans, or rather inviting the clans to take their politics within the parliament system. So the odds are very high, there are risks, but there was no other option perhaps.
Well, Dmitry Babic, I mean, it is a very difficult position for Russia, as you said, that rather not see a Western-style democracy in that area. But on the other side, what's the option, the disintegration of Kyrgyzstan?
Well, the problem is that, unfortunately, troubles in Kyrgyzstan erupt when the state power becomes weak. Last time we saw the troubles in Osh was in 1990. And at the time, there were terrible clashes between the Uzbek minority and the Kyrgyz. And the Soviet troops actually prevented the Uzbeks from helping their brethren coming from Andijan and other big Uzbek cities. Now, unfortunately, as we see, there is no outside power that can come and help Kyrgyzstan to solve its problems. Russia is not ready to do it. United States is not ready to do it. So Kyrgyzstan will have to do it itself. And I think everyone in Russia, including the president, wishes Kyrgyzstan success. Because if they're not successful, we will suffer from that. Because the refugees will go primarily to Russia to find work and to find shelter. So basically, everyone wishes Kyrgyzstan success. And we're just looking for the best way to do it. Our president is not sure Kyrgyzstan is ready for democracy days after thousands of people were killed. You know, it's a huge tragedy. And sincerely, I don't believe that democracy is compatible with pogroms and war. And what we saw just a few days ago were pogroms.
Well, Najam Abbas, is it really that Russia says that Kyrgyzstan is not ready for democracy, certainly after the atrocities that happened over the past few weeks? Or is it a matter of Russia being afraid of losing a little bit more of its sphere of influence in the region?
Yes, more to the latter, because what happens if we put the diplomatic words that the Russian authorities would prefer a known devil to an unknown angel. What is happening is, when they say it is hard to imagine how democracy would thrive under such disorder and discontent, what they are trying to say politely is why the change, a departure from the status quo was not